Major funding for these broadcasts is made possible by grants from Capital One Bank and Chase Commercial Term Lending, the Witkoff Group, New York Community Bank, M&T Bank, Greenberg Traurig, Perfect Building Maintenance, Genova Burns. Additional funding is provided by grants from AKA Hotels, Corman Communities, Aerial Property Advisors, AVR Realty Company, Bank of America, Merrill Lynch, Bank Leumi USA, Briarwood Organization, CBRE, Citizens Bank, Colliers International NYC, CPEX Real Estate Services, Cushman & Wakefield, Customers Bank, DDG, Dime Savings Bank of Williamsburg, Fisher Brothers, First Nationwide Title Agency, Flushing Bank, Foley & Lardner, Friedman, Handler Real Estate Organization, HAP Investment Developers, Investors Bank, James D. Kuhn Real Estate Institute at Syracuse University, James Orphanides, Chairman, USRealty.com, Kilroy Architectural Windows, New York's Window Company, Madison Realty Capital, Massey-Knackle Realty Services, Matone Group, Mercantile Commerce Bank, N.A., Meridian Capital Group, Newmark Grubb Knight Frank, Newbanks, MHP Real Estate Services, Optimum Window Manufacturing Corp., People's United Bank, Rosewood Realty Group, SJP Properties, Sterling National Bank, Sterling Risk, Stonehenge Partners, TD Bank, Terra CRG, the Continuum Company, the CUNY TV Foundation, the Moynihan Group, and these friends.
So, when you celebrate your 750th show, you want to bring people with you who've been with you on many of these shows. Not 750, but at least 50 or 60. 15 years ago, these gentlemen came on my show, and the world was a little difficult. It was a time right after 9/11. It was a difficult office market. It was a difficult residential market. So we fast forward to today, June of 2015. And where are we today? Is my crystal ball bright? Is it shiny? I don't know. So I brought Mr. Siegel and Mr. Yardeni. I guess they are Steve Siegel. He is the chairman of Global Brokerage at CBRE and the general partner of SG2. And last but not least, my friend Ofer Yardeni, who is the chairman and CEO of Stonehenge Partners. So in 14 and a half years, how do we look at the market today as we compare it to 2001?
2001 the market was pretty solid. Leasing was strong. Downtown was in the process of revitalization. Everybody thought the horrific events of 9/11 was going to put everything to a stop. The city would not recover. 10 million square feet of space disappears. Fast forward with a dip in 7, 8, and 9. We have the most explosive growth that New York has ever had. We have expansion in multiple industries, technology, advertising, media, and information. It's not a one-trick pony anymore in New York City. It's a multifaceted. Downtown's booming. I mean, literally booming. About 130 tenants.
Would he go down? He's still a little.
I've been working on him. It may be late. But downtown has 130 tenants have moved there in the last 3 years. About 10 have left for a variety of reasons, not necessarily to escape downtown per se. And the variety of those tenants are media, as I said, technology, entertainment, retail, Alexander Wang, Gucci, Revlon. I mean, it's an incredible diversity. It has truly become what I said for years. It would become a city within a city. Rents are exploding. Hudson Yards is a huge success, or on its way to being a huge success.
Well, when we talk about Hudson Yards, Ofer had a building. He still owns a building near the Hudson Yards. People take the Hudson Yards in a variety of markets. What do you consider the Hudson Yards market? as opposed to just Hudson Yards, which is the related project? Especially since you own the Olivia over there.
Yeah, but before that, I think as you said, I've been here for the last maybe 30, 40 shows with you. And for the last 30, 40 shows, you have been not the most optimistic person. And
Are you talking that I'm not optimistic?
And I've been quite optimistic about New York.
The apple's shiny.
The apple shiny. It's not shining enough.
Yes, for you it never shines enough.
And as I said before, previously, that the best is yet to come to New York. I really believe that the fundamental, as Steve mentioned, and yet the best is yet to come to New York, because I believe that rents on the retail, office, and residential are going to increase. There is huge demand in each one of those sectors, and we see it by the demand on a daily basis, and especially during this month when people are looking for apartments here in New York City. With respect to the Hudson Yards, we bought the Olivia in 2005, and we believe that that area is going to have a renaissance and completely developed. We never imagined that it's going to be the way it is really today. The way it's going right now with Brookfield and what they're building, with Related, what they are building. So we are looking at the Hudson Yards in an area, I would say, that starts in the 20s up to 35, 36, 37. It's all like one big expansion.
Do you think when they say Hudson Yards, you know, where Tishman is and Barnett is, like on 36th and 37th Street, is that a portion of Hudson Yards?
I think that Hudson Yards project, so separate Hudson Yards from the
right,
Hudson
and
Yards
that's what I wanted.
Area. It probably runs the entire length of the High Line, which sort of ends at 34th Street. And as Ofer says, it will spill over, you know, a block to the north and a block to the west, and in both directions. And there'll be the recipients, the peripheral properties outside of the quote-unquote Highline Hudson Yard area will be the beneficiary of that. They may not be as costly to either live in or work in, but they'll be substantially occupied, and as perimeter properties, they'll be very successful.
Do you think rents have peaked?
In the office market?
The residential side. In Manhattan. And
I got to tell you something. The demand and the attraction for people wanting to live in New York City, subject to the continuity of its quality of life under current administration, which I'm not saying either way will or will not happen. People want to live here. They want to work here. There's a general urbanization in the entire United States, if not the entire world. He can speak more internationally than I do these days. So I don't think rents have peaked. I think it becomes a matter of like anything else, supply and demand. As long as there is not enough supply, and there really is enough quality apartments in Manhattan on a rental side. Now, I'm not focusing on the condo side. That's not my strength. I don't know if it peaks at 5,000 a foot or it's 10,000 a foot, which the Zackendorf project is expecting to get. Again, there too, it's supply and demand. I know for a fact an apartment went to contract at the Park Lane, not the Park Lane, the 220 Park Avenue South, the Veneto property, for $200 million. Now, heretofore, I thought the most was 95, I heard was crazy.
There's
200
no
million.
question. You're talking about all these businesses coming here. We need housing for the working people. We need housing for the young college tech person who's finished. We need, for the Tammy, as you bring out. There's not that much housing. I mean, I did a show a couple of weeks ago, and we were talking about Staten Island because of the reasonable pricing over there. The negative of Staten Island is the ferry. It's the trip, the commute. I mean, you've always been Manhattan-centric.
But New York is not Manhattan. So you're focusing on
No,
Manhattan.
I'm not. That's why I'm trying to...
That's why Brooklyn has boomed. That's why Queens now, there's a tremendous amount of, development and appeal to Long Island City, to Astoria, to Flushing, to Forest Hills, Harlem, all the way up to Washington Heights and northern Manhattan inward. And the Bronx is going to begin to boom again.
Michael, people are talking about crisis in the residential field. When I started to buy residentially in the early 90s, there was crisis. It was a crisis in affordable, there was a crisis in the luxury. In every market, right. There was a crisis. Today, people are speaking about it in the media, but if you look at the history of the multifamily in New York, we never had in any market in the last 20, 25 years vacancy in our portfolio that exceeded 3-4%. So it's all about how much we were able to push the rents. So really, we were always fully occupied. Every market here in the city, and we are in almost every segment, in every market here in New York City, other than the World Financial District. But in other markets, we are heavily invested. We have over 3,500 units, close to 30 buildings, so you understand it. And last year, when I opened 101 West 15, and it's on 6th Avenue between 15th and 16th Street, and I was surprised when I got $88 and $90 a square foot, which translates for studios of 3,800 and one bedroom between 45 to 6. So when the leases came to renew, I realized that my studios, I increased the rent from 3,800 to 4,000 or 41, and even my one bedroom, I increased the rent. So in every segment, in every type of units, we are able to increase our rents. Now, you have to understand that as we have 4 seasons during the year, we have 4 seasons in the residential business. Clearly, the rents today are around 10 to 15% higher in the luxury apartment buildings than if you came to our place in December or January. So this is the hottest season where people are looking for jobs, where all the graduates are coming to the city, graduating from school, and all the students that want to apply for apartments are renting from us. So we see a situation where we get phone calls for 2 or 3 kids who want to live in an apartment, and we just don't allow it.
That's taking place in a lot of your portfolio. The 2 or 3 kids moving into the walk-ups, and they're basically looking at it. They're not looking at it. They don't say what I'm paying per square foot. They're saying what I'm paying per bedroom.
Yeah, like a hostel. It's right? Like a hostel.
It's a hostel.
Well, I mean, I think roommates have been the case for
the roommates,
1,000 years.
whatever you want. It's always been a roommate, but I'd say
we don't object, by the way, to. It was a question of who's on that lease and what kind of security there is, but to have 3 kids living in a 1 or 2 bedroom we have no opposition.
Now, you know, the office market in 2006, I think the rents were higher than today.
Not even close. They peaked at a number, probably average asking rents were somewhere around $80 or $82 a square foot. If you took Class A space, it's probably approaching $100 a foot right now. There are leases pending at $150, $170, and $200 a foot in multiple buildings. The new stuff being developed on Park Avenue by L&L, the redo of 390 Madison Avenue. I would venture to guess that 425 Park Avenue will average close to $200 a foot in that building. Hudson Yards is now pushing into the 80s. Manhattan West the next deal they make will be somewhere in the 80s. So I mean, and there's isolated deals of not unsubstantial size that have a 1 in front of them.
Now, when people are looking today for space, are they looking all over for office space? Are they searching the Hudson Yards? Are they searching Lower Manhattan? Or, you know, I
think when a space search commences, there's probably a predetermined or predisposition to a preference on behalf of, you know, whoever is the leader of this particular company or committee that's empowered to go do the search. But they search the entire market. They'll have a requirement that's a certain size. They'll ascertain that size by a space planner and a process, and then they'll look everywhere. Then they'll narrow it down.
I did a show a couple of months ago, and it was called The Anatomy of a Deal, where a tenant was moving out of 425 Park because they had no space. Mm-hmm. They needed to find space. They got the rash reality that they couldn't stay on Park Avenue, and they rented at 11 Times Square. I'm very happy about that. Today, the question is, are landlords reducing their concession? Are the work letters still there? Can a tenant get a good deal with regard to securing good space?
I think it depends on what you consider a good deal. A good deal is always the deal that is the best particular deal at that time in the marketplace. And as long as the tenant perceives that they've done the best they can, that's
what
a good
I would
deal.
say to you in a different question.
There's no cheap deal.
Okay, there's no cheap deal, but is there a deal that somebody can go in? You know, it's like when you build a new apartment house.
Yes.
A landlord gives away, in many cases, they'll pay one month free rent, okay?
It depends also when they open, Michael. If they open in May, we time it. If we open in May, June, July, we are not if we have 500 units, we'll give some concession. But other than that, we are not going to give concessions. So it depends
You don't
when
have
you
to,
open.
but I'm talking about a brand new building or something
Well, in an
like
office
that.
building, yes, there's rent. There's a work letter, and that's TI, tenant improvement, and that's ranges depending on the size of the tenant and the credit. Could be a smaller tenant might get a $20 to a $40 or $50, and a big tenant will still command $70 work letter, $80 work letter, depending on their size. And free rent will range from the smaller deal, 3 to 6 months, to as much as 15 months for a large deal.
Okay, so
And more. It all depends on the deal, the size, the timing,
and what's happening, like the timing.
and who represents them.
Oh,
If it's
okay.
me, it's-
Okay, a
they'll get
little
the best
brokerage.
deal.
So here's the question. It's 2015. I heard Adam Newman speak from WeWork a couple weeks ago. You know, office co-sharing has been around for years in different elevations, different categories. Where are the new trends? Where do you see the trends? Is it in co-sharing of the office thing? Is it we live? I noticed today in one of the blogs that Prodigy, who's a crowdfunder, is going to do, you know, some we office type of space and we living space. So where are the new trends? You know, in 2001 we didn't have that many. We had no Chopped. Today we have plenty of Chopped around. We didn't have that many Starbucks. Where do you see the new trends, and where do you see the new markets where there's going to be big growth? Both of you.
So, one, everybody's talking about WeWork and WeLive. And I had a chance to go to visit and to see WeWork, of which I was quite stunned from the office portion, because I saw it's very comfortable for the tenants. A lot of common areas and smart sharing space. But what I was very, very surprised, I was surprised by the age of the people that were at WeWork, because I really thought that it will be a lot younger than the crowd that I really saw.
Maybe the WeWork you went to.
I went to see the one, the 222 downtown, of which, again, as a concept, is amazing. And what's amazing here in New York City is that it's such a large city with so many people that you can almost, if with every crazy concept that you will come, it can work. Now, how big it can be. Now, with respect to WeLive, there is a little bit different, because we have been providing lifestyle. We have a division in our company that we created 15 years ago to provide lifestyle to our tenants. If it's a night with the James Beard food, if it's Lincoln Center, if it's baseball team, basketball team, if it's yoga, if it's boot camp, if it's bicycle riding, if it's the five borough bike ride. So we have been providing a lot of services. Now, it's still the apartments are being shared between one individual or another. When you look at WeWork, and I spoke with my kids and my kids' friends, and I said to them, will you live in a 500 square feet, 2-bed or 3 beds? And the question that they said to me is, where is the closet? Where are we going to put our clothes? Where are we going to make love? Where are we going to live? It's not like a frat house in a...
You know, a number of years ago, I had Sam Chang on the show. There's a hotel, 372, across the street from the studio. And I walked into the space, and I said, closet. And in his nice manner, he said, hook.
It's fraternity living or dormitory living transferred to the next level, where these kids come home and they lease what they can afford. It's not your children.
No,
but a lot of these kids are used to hanging on a hook.
But in a way, they're going to live there for a year or 2 years. It's not living for a long term.
That's what they're going to do. A year or two, and the next wave of kids will be a year or two.
Until the next generation,
yes.
You know. It's how do the landlords look at WeWorks today?
They find WeWorks. First of all, they're like Pac-Man. They gobble up space. They have an algorithm that says this is how many people are out there and how many people we can accommodate in a variety of markets. They're the new age Regis and HQ, except it's modernized and, as Ophir says, workstations. You don't have a desk or a little office.
No, you can.
You can have.
The transfer. I understand that, but there's another one called Neuhaus, which is growing rapidly, and it's a little.
There's Alley Works, and there's some
they're
others.
great. But you know what it is? It's an extension of what corporate America is doing now. Corporate America is all about open space plan, collaborative space, more density, more efficient. So these are people that are not part of organizations, and they're individuals looking to start up, create their own companies. They're artists. They're a variety.
And they're like ADP. They can get their insurance. They can buy other programs.
Right.
They have all that. What trends do you see with regard to the retail? I mean, you have retail in many spaces. Any other new retailers coming over here?
The retail's not my day-to-day strength, but yes, there are retailers coming over here.
But my question is, on the retail, Norman Sterner, they bought 180 Maiden Lane. They're putting in food services by Bobby Van. Is this becoming prevalent in the office, in the new office buildings, different type of food services? Related is talking, with Danny Meyer in food services over there.
Goldman Sachs has their food courts. Brookfield has done an amazing job with theirs. Westfield has done an amazing job in the World Trade Center. Italy's coming in. They should be opening shortly. I think service and amenities has always been part of office life. It's just become much more expanded.
What do you think?
I think on the residential side, for the last 10 years, services and amenities and those food courts are becoming more desirable. It's what the tenants that we are trying to target are going to pay extra for services. Because how much you can get for an apartment? Everybody is almost charging the same for that size apartment if you're in the same location. But if you have a doorman that knows your name, if you have the gym, the state-of-the-art gym, if you have the amenities in the building, services, in my mind is that whatever the tenant wants, we should try to deliver. And the tenants will pay for it because they want convenience and they want to get it now. So if you can provide services, you can be able to achieve a lot more rent.
Let's talk about the Bronx.
I just want to go back to your question, because the retail and the amenities are all about places that really don't have them. 180 Maiden Lane is sort of isolated on the east side of Manhattan, and there really are no easy places to walk to and to eat. The way the Trade Center is situated, they had to create a retail. Brookfield Place, the same thing. And at the time Goldman built, they wanted to make sure there was enough places. Your general midtown office buildings are not going to focus that dramatically on putting in restaurants or dining experiences, because you can walk 14 feet and get into like 3 restaurants. So it's what amenities are necessary to create the greater good for
Hudson
the
Yards is going to have to build some amenities because there are no
they're
restaurants.
They're going to.
They're building it, and that's part. Fairway's not moving in, so they're putting a 40,000 square foot food court.
And they have support retail, and they'll have shops, and they'll have everything you need. They'll have a movie theater there. A very significant one. They'll have all the amenities which they're perpetuating for the success of the apartment buildings.
You remember there was Loewy's Paradise in the Bronx, right?
I do.
So today the Bronx is booming.
Yeah, like you just said Loewy's, didn't you?
That's right.
That's how I say it. It's not Loewy's, it's Lowe's.
Lowe's.
My son always corrects me. He's 28 years old. And he turns to someone and says, "Did you hear how he said that?"
So would you get back to the Bronx since you grew up in the Bronx?
Yes.
So what do you see? There's talk of a lot of developments over there. It's relatively convenient to the city. It's a place that Mr. Yardeni doesn't know about.
But we just sold the last 2 of 80 buildings in the Bronx. We had 80 buildings at one time and 5,000 units. But I would look at the Bronx again for the right opportunity. I believe, again, like I said, you have Bedford-Stuy, you've got Bushwick, areas that nobody would think would ever be attractive and appealing in Brooklyn. You're going to have that same type of appeal in the Bronx.
And in the same manner, what do you think about the opportunities near the Brooklyn Navy Yard or the other, industry city where Jamestown is doing some major business and other properties over there?
They seem to have, they've attracted office tenants. I don't know about the transportation, to be candid, in the Brooklyn Navy Yard. I think what I was going to say about the Bronx, anytime you have a place where you can get on a subway or public transportation and be at your place of business, be it in Manhattan or wherever, in 30 minutes, door to door, that's got to have some appeal to...
As we would say, transit-oriented development, anything near a TOD is important. That's the key. So where do you, with like a minute and a half left, where are the opportunities? Where's the apple going to be shining over the next 18 months?
We have been investing throughout the city in the more core areas. And as we acquired 3 years ago with SL Green, a portfolio on the Upper East Side, we already saw the rents in the Upper East Side lagging by 30-40% to the rest of Manhattan. So we think that the opportunities on the Upper East Side, building those buildings with great amenities, great services, because you have the parks, you have the school, you have the temple, the church, you have the convenience store. So right now...
And one day you may even have a Second Avenue subway.
And you are going to have next year Second Avenue subway that will really helps a lot.
Maybe we'll see it in our lifetime.
But 2 years ago also we acquired 1080 Amsterdam. That is the corner of 113 and Amsterdam. And it's 100,000 square feet, and we purchased it with SL Green. And I was quite stunned to see the demand in terms of rents and the demand in terms of from the people. We had 96 units, and if I had in that building 500 units, I could have rented it in a matter of 120 days.
Okay.
So I started to explore more West Harlem and Central Harlem, of which the transportation is quite amazing, and I think it's a great place to be.
So even though I have a little cloudy crystal apple here,
yes,
you're saying it's going to be shining for hopefully a long time, and the views and the opportunities are still here. And I'd like to thank Stephen.
Wait, I have 10 seconds?
Yes.
I want to compliment you on your 750th show. I checked the longest running shows, and you are one of the top 10, and you've exceeded Saturday Night Live, which has been on for 40 years in a number of shows. So
congratulations for me too.
Thanks to Mr. Siegel and Mr. Yardeni, and I'll see you next week. Or you can watch us on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and everything else, because we've gone to the 21st century. Thank you.